Hello and welcome. We're about to dig into a really big question today, one that comes up all the time in modern discussions. We're going to explore what one source has to say about it. Let's get right into it.
So, the huge question our source material tries to answer is this. What does the Bible actually say about race? I mean, it's such a massive part of our world today, you'd think it would have to be in there somewhere, right? Well, the speaker in our source material gives a really short, sharp, and honestly pretty stunning answer. One word, nothing. That's it. That's the conclusion they came to.
Now, that is a pretty shocking answer. To say that a text that's so foundational to so much of the world has nothing to say about one of the biggest ways we categorize people, well, that just seems almost impossible.
But you know, this wasn't just some casual opinion. The speaker describes actually going through the books, the guides, the concordances, actively looking for the word race as we understand it. And the result of that deep dive? Nothing. The word, the concept, it just wasn't there. Okay, but hold on. The speaker knew exactly what you're probably thinking. What about all those verses, especially in the Old Testament, where God is telling the Israelites to keep themselves separate from other groups? Doesn't that prove the Bible does talk about race?
This is where our source offers a total reframing of the whole conversation. The argument is that the dividing line was never, ever about skin color or ethnicity. It was about something completely different: covenant.
This is one of the big verses people point to. And yeah, at first glance, you must not intermarry with them sounds exactly like a rule about ethnic purity. But the speaker says you have to read the reason why. It's right there. For they will lead your children away from me to worship other gods. So, here's the crucial distinction. Was the rule based on who people were physically, or was it based on what they believed spiritually? The source argues that the big concern wasn't about mixing people groups, it was about mixing faiths and breaking that core relationship with God.
And to really get this, we have to understand the word covenant. Our source gives a great, simple definition. Think of it as a contract with God. It was this agreement, this shared commitment, that actually defined who was in the group.
So, the line in the sand wasn't external, it was internal. According to the source, it had absolutely nothing to do with what you looked like or your ancestry, but everything to do with whether or not you were part of that specific contract with God. And that brings us to the next really powerful part of the argument. Because if the Old Testament built a kind of wall based on this covenant, our source says the New Testament shows us exactly how that wall gets torn down.
For this, the speaker takes us right to the book of Ephesians chapter 2. And this passage is tackling head-on the biggest social and religious divide of that era, the one between Jews and Gentiles.
And this verse just lays it all out there. Christ himself is the peace. He united two groups into one people. And how? By breaking down that wall of hostility. The very thing that kept them apart, the law, the old covenant, was completely dismantled. So you can see the logic here, right? First, there was this division, and it was defined by the covenant of the law. Second, through Christ, there's a reconciliation. These two separate groups are brought into one single new body. And the result of that? Peace. It's not something they achieve. It's something that's been created for them. So all of this builds to the speaker's final, and I've got to say, most provocative conclusion about where our modern idea of race actually comes from. And they do not mince words here at all. The quote is incredibly blunt. The speaker says they believe race, as we know it, is not a biblical idea at all, but an invention of hell and a tool of evil man. And the implication of that is just huge. If the whole point of the story is to tear down walls and create one unified people, then bringing the concept of race into that community is like importing something from hell. It's a foreign concept that's designed to do the exact opposite of what's intended, to create division where peace was already established.
So, our look into this source really leaves us with a challenging question to chew on. If the ultimate goal described here is unity, it makes you stop and ask, what are the walls being built in our world today? And what purpose do they really truly serve?